Hey guys, what is the best way to build a strong, lean, athletic body without spending all of your time in the gym? You know, there's so many different workout options out there, and to tell you the truth, most of them work as long as you're consistent with them and you have the time and resources to implement them. But the thing that we have to consider is that before we are choosing any sort of workout routine for ourselves, we first have to determine what are we trying to achieve with our fitness. Because a lot of people, they'll jump on a routine simply because their friend is doing it or it's popular. You know, like currently right now, hybrid athlete training, right? Where you're kind of lifting like a power lifter and you're also doing endurance running, so like marathons and stuff, is been pretty popular for the past couple of years, right? But is that actually what you need to achieve your goal? So for example, if you want to get really ripped or shredded, doing the hybrid athlete protocol is not going to be what you want to do, right? Conversely, if you want to have a full spectrum fitness, you want to feel generally fit overall, doing the hybrid athlete thing is a really great way to do it. I'm actually a fan of doing that, but it's not the best way to get a shredded, super ripped physique, even though you are doing a massive amount of exercise when you follow that protocol. What we have to remember is that all exercise is good for something, but not every exercise is good for everything. What's up guys, Aaron Krugman's personal trainer, functional aesthetics EC, blending science and innovation to help busy men in their 40s build muscle, shed fat, and perform better inside and outside the gym. In today's video, I want to talk about muscular endurance training and its place in a comprehensive routine for men in their 40s. Or in other words, why you should also train endurance as well as strength and building muscle, and how training the endurance, muscular endurance, can help you to not only prevent joint injuries and stuff like that, but also to even help you lift heavier and build more muscle, which we'll get into later on in the video. Pillar number one of my Hybrid Strength program is muscular endurance. Hybrid Strength 101 is my 16-week online strength and conditioning program designed to help men in their 40s build muscle, shed fat, and develop their overall athleticism in just 20 to 30 minutes of structured strength training per day. If you want to be a competitive bodybuilder, you got to train like a bodybuilder. If you want to be a competitive powerlifter, you want to train like a powerlifter. If you want to be an elite marathon runner, then you should be training specifically for marathons. Hybrid strength training is designed to develop your fitness in 5 key realms of fitness. So we've got muscular endurance, pillar number 1. We've got the old school bodybuilding, building lean muscle, right? We have pillar number 3, which is your powerlifting, strength training, raw, brute strength. And then pillar number 4 is speed, power, and athletic development, which, surprisingly, we always hear about strength training as being the thing that you want to do as you get older for bone density, improving your longevity and stuff. But surprisingly, more important than strength training or even building lean muscle is maintaining power. Because how many people do you know that still sprint and jump after they get out of high school sports? Not too many. Maybe they go to the gym, they lift some weights, maybe they run a few 5Ks, 10Ks, or maybe even a marathon. But there's not too many guys, at least not until the past couple of years, that are still practicing their speed and power. And the thing is, if you haven't been away from the gym for a while, you don't want to get right into speed and power training. It's a great way to pull a hamstring muscle, tear something, give yourself an injury. And that is why it is the fourth stage of Hybrid Strength 101, and not right from the get-go. We have to develop our resilience so that we are able to train in that way and then be able to maintain that way of training into old age. Because surprisingly, you can be sprinting and jumping when you are 60, 70, and even 80 years old for some people, if you play your cards right. And then the last part of the development of fitness and hybrid strength is mobility. Mobility is slightly different than flexibility in that it is flexibility with strength. So do you have the flexibility to get into the range of motion, and then also the strength to draw yourself back out of that range of motion? And this is actually a way that I like to look at bodybuilding, that it's very similar to doing yoga, except that you are doing it with weights. So when you're getting into a very low lunge, or you're going down, you're touching your toes or something, you're stretching yourself out, when you're doing bodybuilding, it's all about that stretch, full range of motion, right? And then adding progressively more load to it, not just specifically just how much weight can we move. So for raw strength, if you're doing powerlifting or something, you just have to make sure that your hip crease goes down below parallel, right? And that's good enough. But if you want to maximize muscular growth, you want to go down as far as possible to maximize the stretch on the muscle before you contract it again. And this is why developing mobility can not only help you to stay more limber and functional as you age, it's actually a good way, in moderation, you don't want excessive amounts of it, to increase your muscle size and strength as well. You know, I oftentimes see a dichotomy between guys over 40 or in their 40s, right? On the one hand, you have the guys who are like, I'm over the hill, I'm not going to train at all. And then on the other hand, you got the guys who are like, I want to still be setting PRs in the gym. And while it can be cool to be bench pressing 300 pounds or 400 pounds or 500 pounds, depending on your body size and where you fall in that spectrum of strength, it is not the main thing that you should be focusing on as you get older. This doesn't mean that you shouldn't be trying to lift heavier, because remember, that is part of the hybrid strength protocol, but it should not be your top priority. Because I don't know about you, I want to continue to be strong and mobile and able to actually be just functional in my 60s and 70s and still do activities I love, not maxing out stuff in my 40s or whatever, and then grinding out my hip joints so that I'm not even able to do stuff that guys who weren't lifting, when they were in their 30s and 40s are able to do, and I'm not able to do that. If you're doing fitness stuff, it should be so that you are always going to be one step ahead of people who are not in the gym and who are not training and who are not into fitness. And so if it's not serving that purpose, you got to maybe ask yourself why I'm in the gym to begin with. Am I doing it because of my ego, I'm trying to compete with other people, or am I trying to do this to actually support health and longevity and live a more fulfilling life long term? Ultimately, that's up to you. If you have the potential to be world class in any sort of sport, maybe it's worth it to you to, run the risk of ruining your long-term health to have that moment of glory in the spotlight. Ultimately, we all have to make that decision, but for the vast majority of us, none of us are going to be world class in any sort of thing that we do. And so longevity, at least for me, is my top priority. Let me know in the comments below what your top goal is with your fitness as you get older, and let's see how many guys have a similar theme, and just be curious, a little experiment to see that. So go ahead and drop those comments below, and let's get moving on with the rest of the video. All right, guys, so as I said, today's video, we're going to be focusing in on pillar number 1 of the hybrid strength system, which is muscular endurance. And we're going to be talking about the various different benefits of muscular endurance training and why you might want to incorporate it into your fitness routine. Now, one of the most popular forms of muscular endurance training is body weight exercise, calisthenics, right? Push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, planks, those kind of things. Now, the more advanced styles of body weight exercise can be constituted as actual strength training, right? But anytime you're doing something where you're going above 20 repetitions or 20 repetitions or above, I'm going to categorize that as a muscular endurance sort of exercise. And if you've been training for any period of time, you could probably do a minimum of 20 push-ups, probably 30, 40, 50. Some guys can do more than that. And when you're doing pull-ups, that could be a strength exercise because that is more of a more difficult thing. But if you're doing things like kettlebell swings, resistance band work, circuits where you're using, your body weight combined with some light dumbbells or something, that's what I tend to categorize as a muscular endurance sort of workout. And the good news is with this, you don't need a squat rack, you don't need barbells and big plates and all this heavy, bulky gym equipment that you can't take with you. You can be on the road. In fact, in the Russian military, they would issue to each of their troops a kettlebell that they'd use in the training. So you can be anywhere. You can be in the field, you can be, driving down the road on a road trip or something like that. Got the kettlebell in the back of the car. You can take it out, do some, do some push-ups, do some swings, do various different, kettlebell sort of modalities or whatever. Do some pull-ups on a tree branch, and you got your full entire body workout there. So advantage number one of muscular endurance training is that you don't need a lot of equipment to do it. And it can be done pretty much anytime, anywhere. Even if you're running behind, you got a very, very busy day, you don't have time to hit the gym, you don't have time, you don't want to wake the family up with clanking a bunch of weights downstairs. If you have a home setup, you just go outside, very quiet, you're swinging those kettlebells or whatever, doing the push-ups, doing the calisthenics, and great way to stay in shape on very limited time, limited space, and do it anywhere. So benefit number two of muscular endurance training, body weight exercise training, is it's joint friendly. It helps you especially, and this is why, another reason why muscular endurance training is pillar number one in the Hybrid Strength 101 online program, is because when you're doing higher repetitions at lighter loads, lower intensity, it allows you to start building up that joint integrity. As physical therapists will often tell you, motion is lotion. The more you flex a joint back and forth, it pumps more synovial fluid into that joint, which is like oil for the joint. It lubricates your joints and helps keep them healthier over time. Not only does it lubricate them, it keeps them healthier, as I said before, by bringing nutrients to those joints as well to keep them more healthy too. And so when you're doing these more repetitions, you're getting that lubrication in there, because if you haven't been doing stuff for a while, maybe those things are creaky, right? And then So, and then the next thing and then the tendons and ligaments within the joint as well have time to adapt and get stronger, because as we know, that muscles are going to get stronger much faster than your tendons and ligaments will. So we want to give a little bit longer ramp up period, build that metabolic efficiency as well with the muscular endurance training, so that by the time you get to doing the bodybuilding style training, the powerlifting style training, you have built a really strong tendons and the metabolic efficiency to efficiently deliver nutrients and oxygen to your muscles so that you can reach your full strength and muscle building potential. And then the other way that it's good for your joints is that you can use machines, right? Machines can be useful for building muscle, right? Because your body doesn't really know how it's being stimulated. All it knows is that it is being stimulated. It knows that it's being stressed, right? That's all it knows. And so you can do that with water jugs, you can do that with a machine, you can do that with resistance bands. But the benefit of doing stuff with your own body weight, a lot of calisthenics exercises, and free weights, like kettlebell type stuff, is that your body has to actually learn how to coordinate its movements as is designed by nature, right? We are not designed to function in isolation, right? When you're doing a chin-up, for example, you're not just using your biceps, although that is a big player. You're also using your lat muscles, you're using your back muscles to a certain degree, you're using your ab muscles a lot as well. In fact, there was somebody who was doing pull-ups and he strained his abs while he was doing the pull-ups, because believe it or not, pull-ups, chin-ups, things like that, if you do them correctly, you're not putting your knees out behind you, putting yourself in front like this, and you're doing like that, it actually is a great way to stimulate abdominal activity. So it's kind of an all-in-one sort of exercise. And that is the case with most bodyweight exercises. Take, for example, the push-up. You're doing the push-up and it's training your chest, training your front deltoids, your triceps, things like that. But you're also having to train core stability, your back, your butt, even to a certain degree your thighs when you're doing this exercise. And so it's much more transferable to overall life, and you're developing a more athletic sort of framework. And because you have to work all those stable, it's a less stable environment than being in a machine, you actually have to learn how to stabilize your body under load. A lot of guys are like, well, maybe I should do machine exercises because I have bad joints. Well, that's not going to help you to prevent injuries in real life, because in real life, you need to be able to stabilize in an unstable environment, right? So better yet would be start out with lighter weights. Learn to use proper technique with free weights, and that is going to help you to have healthier joints long term than any machine exercise will, because as soon as you step outside of the safety of that machine and you're in real life, you can't actually use your muscle and strength that you built in the gym, because as soon as you go and try to use it and apply it in life, you're only as strong as the weakest link. And if you haven't built up the endurance and the stability and those stabilizer muscles like the rotator cuff, you think you're really strong, you go out there, you try to do something in real life and it's snap city and you get an injury. All right, so the next benefit of muscular endurance training is the cardiovascular and metabolic benefits. I've touched briefly on the metabolic benefits earlier when I was talking about how when you have that increased metabolic efficiency, and what I mean by that is that you have increased insulin sensitivity, and you are also able to more efficiently mobilize fat and your fat stores to use as fuel in your workout, which means that when you're doing higher intensity workouts like your powerlifting, your bodybuilding workouts, you're not going to be using up as much carbohydrates earlier on in your warm-up sets to warm up for the workout and your submaximal loads, because your body is so conditioned to use fat at lower intensities that when you get to doing your heavier, more intense sets, you have more energy in reserve to devote to doing those higher intensity sets. So that's one of the benefits of the metabolic efficiency. Also, in terms of body composition, you oftentimes will see calisthenics athletes. A lot of this is diet, but a lot of it is also training too as well, and they go hand in hand. It's a great way to help you keep a leaner body composition as well. And of course, you have to have the diet in check. Cardiovascular benefits. Now, a lot of people say, well, I need to go out to run, I need to walk, I need to do all these other things. Yes, I agree, those are great things to do, but if you're short on time and you don't, like if you, for example, you only have 20 or 30 minutes that you can get a workout in, hands down, I'm always going to pick, do some sort of calisthenics bodyweight training, do some form of weightlifting first, and then with any time you have left over, do some cardio stuff. I know walking's good, I know running's good and stuff, but in terms of your health, your long-term longevity, that is where you want to go. It's going to give you the best aesthetics benefits. You're going to get, leaner, stronger. And the other thing is, people are like, what about your cardiovascular health, the health of your cardiovascular system? Well, depending on the type of training, and even like heavy lifting can help to increase the strength of your blood vessels, right? Because when you are holding your breath under a really heavy load, Valsalva maneuver, right? All those blood vessels in your lungs and everything is getting stretched under the pressure of, holding that. So it builds a lot of resilience there. But what about the efficiency of your heart and all those things? They've done studies and they've shown that high volume strength training, such as bodybuilding, calisthenics training, muscular endurance training, has the same or equal effects on your cardiovascular health as traditional forms of cardiovascular exercise like running, biking, etc. The difference is that running and biking, now those can actually help to build up your leg muscles to a certain degree, and those are fine, but it doesn't do very much for your upper body. So when you're doing the muscular endurance style of training and you're working your entire body, you're doing the push-ups, the pulls, all that kind of stuff, you are not only getting the cardiovascular benefits, you're also getting the muscular strength and muscle building benefits that affords as well. Alright guys, so the last part of this video, we're talking about the benefits of muscular endurance training in terms of hormones. So cortisol often gets a bad rap, both from its potential to have a negative impact on insulin sensitivity. You tend to gain more body fat, especially around the midsection. I forget the name of the condition that's caused by that. You see some people, they have skinny legs, but they have this thick little midsection or whatever, and sometimes not even eating a lot, although being stressed can cause you to do that because of the blood sugar dysregulation effects and stuff. But what people don't often understand is that cortisol is also a potent fat burner. It doesn't just cause you to gain body fat, it can also cause you to burn body fat because it is a catabolic hormone. It actually helps you to burn carbohydrates as well, brings them out of storage, glycogen, right? The reason why, though, you can tend to gain that body fat is because once all your glycogen gets depleted, right? Because you have this increased, this is why sometimes you crave sugar when you're stressed, right? Because your body's trying to grab up glucose and stuff to help you build the energy to fight this thing off. But if you deplete your glycogen stores, then your body has to start going into muscle stores and starts using up muscle tissue to provide the glucose and the energy that it needs. However, on the other hand, cortisol can be a fat burner, though, if it's hanging around with hormones like testosterone, glucagon, and human growth hormone, right? It's a fat storage hormone when levels of sugar and insulin and all this kind of stuff are high, but when there's testosterone and human growth hormone around, it's the reverse. And so one of the benefits of muscular endurance training and just a lot of rhythmic type exercise in general is that it helps to manage that cortisol levels, but it also helps to raise levels of anabolic hormones like human growth hormone and testosterone, but especially human growth hormone, which human growth hormone not only helps to suppress the insulin a little bit, but it also helps to liberate fat from storage, giving you more energy for the workout and also helping to, with your body composition, to make you leaner. So that is the last one, but nonetheless a good reason to include muscular endurance training in your fitness routine. All right, guys, so to recap, men in their 40s can and should, in most cases, be able to continue to lift heavy weights. However, it is not where the bulk of your training should be. Whereas when you were a younger guy, maybe trying to set bench press, deadlift, and squat PRs in the gym would have been maybe your primary focus. You're trying to maximize the muscle growth, you're trying to lift as much weight as you can, trying to move those numbers up. That's not to say that you can't continue to lift heavy in your 40s. And in fact, if you are just starting out, if you are completely brand new to the gym, then obviously everything that you do in the gym is going to be a PR. So it doesn't say that you can't try to steadily try to get stronger. But what I am saying is, as a man over 40, as we're aging and stuff, trying the cost to benefit ratio of trying to push bigger and bigger numbers and to try to set all-time highs in all of these lifts tends to outweigh the cost or the risk of incurring some injuries. And if your goal is to maintain a strong, lean, functional body that's able to take you through life and to do all the things that you want to as long as possible into old age, then perhaps being a competitive power lifter as you're getting older and stuff might not be the wisest decision. And this is actually why a better place to start is to train muscular endurance. So if you are brand new to the gym, or if you are coming back after a layoff, the first place that you want to start is starting out with higher repetitions and lower sets. Now, when you are coming back from a layoff, it goes without saying that you're going to be lifting less than when you were training all the time. But I still want to make the distinction that it's probably not the wisest thing to jump into a 5x5 program because there's just not enough volume to stimulate that muscle growth, right? And what I recommend instead, and this is actually what I teach in my hybrid strength program as well, is we start out with muscular endurance, meaning 15 to 20 reps per set. Maybe you're doing like 1 to 2 sets per workout, and starting out with that high volume. That's going to allow you to develop all the benefits that I talked about before in this video. And Then you follow just a linear periodization, meaning that you just continually add weight to the bar and or try to maintain the same number of reps. You maintain those same high number of reps, but at a certain point, you're not going to be able to continue adding more weight to the bar and still hitting 15 to 20 reps per set. This is the natural segue into where you're going 3 sets of 10, 4 sets of 8, maybe going to a 5x5 at some point, and then cycling it back around. And so instead of jumping right into high intensity, low rep training right off the get-go, even if that is your goal to be doing heavy lifting at some point and to be being a power lifter, right? Even if that is your goal, I still recommend starting out with those higher repetitions because it's going to help you to build a stronger foundation moving forward. And this is actually why in my hybrid strength program, my online one, it's a 16-week program designed to help men in their 40s gain 5 to 10 pounds of muscle while shedding 15 to 20 plus pounds of body fat in that period of time. And we start out with pillar number 1 in the foundational stages. We're working on muscular endurance, we're working on technique, we're working on mobility and general physical preparedness, building those lifestyle habits while you're doing this before we segue into more intense forms of training later on in the program. So for guys who are interested, I have an opportunity coming up here for a low barrier to entry. I actually have a free workshop coming up in 2 weeks. It's going to be on May 5th. At 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. It's going to run for 5 days, and over the course of that time, we're going to be covering foundational strength training principles that are often forgotten but critical to starting out in your program. We're also going to be talking about these 6 movement patterns that should be involved in every single workout and the different variations thereof. We're going to talk about the 3 different energy systems that you need to be training if you want to be strong, lean, and functional for life, and also how to fuel for those. So if you're interested in learning more about that, go ahead and drop hybrid in the comments. Either that, go into the description for this video, and you'll see my email address there. You can reach out to me there. Just comment hybrid when you send me that, or whatever message you want to send, and I will send you over the details for how to sign up for the challenge. Again, it's a free challenge. If you are curious about how the hybrid strength program works, again, it's the strategic combination of 4 different strength training principles. We're going to be working muscular endurance, old school bodybuilding, powerlifting, speed, power, and agility training. And if you're interested in how that training system works, again, reach out to me by either commenting hybrid below this video or sending me an email at my email address, aceproaaron@gmail.com, which is linked in the description for this channel. All right, guys, thanks for watching the video, and we'll see you all next week for the second installment in this series on muscular endurance, and specifically whether or not when it comes to joint health, what's better? Training for muscular endurance, high reps, low weight, or continue to do heavy weight? A lot of guys think that heavy weight is going to be automatically damaging for your joints as you get older, but is that in fact actually the case? And you're going to find out in next week's video. Thanks for watching the video. If you got some good value out of it, go ahead and hit the like button. And if you'd like to see more content like this related to workout design for building muscle, shedding body fat, nutrition for those same goals, and then also how to avoid getting injuries in the process and how to work around those injuries should you sustain them, then consider subscribing to the channel by hitting the button in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. And we'll see you all next time for more health and fitness information.